The 5 hidden tactics behind 7-figure creatives in 2024. Super excited to share this with you guys. I put a lot of effort into it. And what it really is, it's basically the learnings from creating thousands of creatives, tens of millions in ad spend. And I would just say we get right started. So to give you a quick overview on what the structure will be like, we will go through each of the 5 hidden tactics. I will provide you with the explanation behind it and also real world examples so you can actually transfer this stuff over to your business today and start printing money. And in the end, the last chapter, I devoted to the 4 foolproof steps I found to finding your next winning ad in as little as 14 days. So I would just say we get right started, and I'm really excited for this. I hope you too, and I won't waste any more of your time. And I would just say we hop right in and maybe start off by just asking the question, like, why should you even care? And what I'm trying to do with this today is not to like pitch anything or talk about some weird mechanism or do anything like that. This is like really the pure stuff that we see working right now in 2024. And my goal with this presentation is basically to help you improve your creative so you can find more winning creative and make a bunch more money. And I will not only show you how it's easier done, how you can get it faster done, but also how you can make much more effective ads that don't just work for like a couple of days or at low spend, but they will crush at scale. They can run for months and just print money. That's my goal with this presentation. So why am I potentially a bit qualified to talk about this stuff? This year, so far, we produced around 4,000 ads already. We have clients spending 500 a day, but also 60,000 a day. We've been working with basically in everything, in every niche, and we've been crushing their controls. So we have a wide set of data. We have great in-house editing power, and we do many different styles. And yet still, it all boils down to a couple of core principles that I see that I want to share with you today so you can also make better creatives. And as said, this will be very tactic focused, so things that you can really implement today and not some weird kind of woo-woo AI stuff that you need to pay for or do anything or jump through many hoops. It's stuff you can apply and you can really leverage for your own brand. All right, so I would say we get right started. The first thing I want to talk about is interference. And interference is a term that's coming from physics. And what it basically means is that if you have a wave and then another wave and they actually overlap, what results out of it is a bigger wave. But if one wave has another wave that doesn't overlap and it's actually canceling it, it cancels out the entire thing and it becomes like useless. And I've been seeing the same thing in markets and just in advertising and running Facebook ads up, down. And I noticed that this wave interference is actually super applicable to the market we're currently facing. And you need to do something that I like to call matching the market. So what you're essentially trying to do is find the wave of the market, find the sentiment of the market and match it. This concept, I think I've learned this a couple of years ago from Jordan Belfort, funny enough. And he talked about like, imagine your sister or your relative storming into the room, being super mad about anything, about something, and how do you respond? Like, do you talk in a calm manner? Do you try to bring her down? Do you do anything like that? Or the second thing is match her rate of speed, match her aggressiveness, and then lead her down. And actually, funny enough, the right answer is you need to be aggressive. You need to match her level of like just energy and rate of speech. So you're basically matching her where she's at and then taking her somewhere. And the same thing goes for your ads. You need to connect to your market. And in a way here, you of course have the 5 different levels of market sophistication and how it works together. And you really need to understand where your market is right now. For some, it's like pain relief. For others, it's tech gadgets. For others, it's fashion. And wherever you are in this market, you need to dock into like, you need to hijack one of these waves. And I will get to like a concrete example right after this. But the main goal of this is basically find out what is going on in the market. Is there a current trend? Is there a current hype? How sophisticated is the market? how do I need to go into? Do I just need to make like a big claim about a big thing that's right now in the market? Or do I need to find a new mechanism that I need to attach and sound super smart about it if I'm on a level 4 or 5, for example, right? So finding something that works with the market, then matching it, this should be the main goal initially of creating this ad and thinking about it. And I make this more concrete in an example right now. And then I also have another one. So here we have an example from one of our clients that scaled really well, and they were a partner of Google when they launched their Google Find My device. So it is a tracking device, and what most people do and what most people would have done is to talk about the common problem about tracking things that they solve. So which is basically helping you find their stuff. But the thing is, that's not the most effective ads. You can do that and it will potentially work, but what works is really tackling the market, matching it. So we knew that this new Google Find My device was just coming out. It is a new big thing, right? And it is just obvious for us to talk about this tracker and what it does in a way that it's like already tied to this new thing, this new event in the market, right? So again, if you think about these waves, we had this one wave with the market. It was swinging in a wave of like this new thing just dropped. This Google Find My device. Now we came in and we matched our ads to this, immediately just like talked about it in the hook, and that made it like overlap. We had constructive interference. And that just means that we have insanely high relevance for the viewers, right? And the other thing is perfectly describing destructive interference. You have this wave of like Google Find My device in the market, this sentiment, and then you're talking about this losing keys and wallets, and then you introduce that you're actually also compatible with Find My device. Now that is not the right way to go, because it just cancels it out. It's not as relevant in the market, while the other stuff, these two first examples, they just absolutely crushed and they did insanely well. Right. Now, the next tactic I'd like to talk about is the value lead. And this really comes from studying how people consume content these days. And if you think about it, for example, a couple of years ago, Instagram was very image driven. Like you had the cat images, you have all of the pictures of your friends and everything. Nowadays, we have a lot of shorts, we have a lot of TikToks, we have a lot of this and that. And what we've noticed is that ads that have some sort of like value component, they work much better. And I'm trying to explain why that is. So this is what you're trying to do. Your goal should be providing valuable information to people whether they purchase or not. This creates goodwill and people will watch your ad. What happens if people watch your ad? You will get higher relevance in the ad auction and you get better soft KPIs, and you will ultimately get cheaper CPMs and CPCs, even though they might not purchase, right? And then you still get these positive effects. But if they find it relevant and if you are actually able to segue into a better sales process, then you have these benefits of this organic kind of driven valuable component that people actually want to watch, and you still get to keep the conversion element on the back end. Now, you can imagine this already as the hook, or really the lead that's between like the hook and the body part. And here, for example, for this, maybe just talking a bit about the benefits again about this, is also that it forces you to create top of funnel ads. That is a common issue I see with too many brands. They try to create top of funnel ads, but they actually just put the product in the first frame and then they talk about why is my brand name better than anything else. That is not top of funnel advertising. It is very middle of funnel. And if you do that too much, you dump down your algorithm and you will have a hard time acquiring new customers. So this leading with value part actually forces you to create top of funnel ads and talk to people who are on higher awareness stages, or actually lower awareness stages, if you will. So they are like unaware or just like problem aware a bit. And you really want to talk to these people, right? The second thing is it allows you to connect instantly with the target audience because it's highly relevant to them. And this ties into the first thing which you talked about, which is matching the market. You're talking about something, you're educating on something that is currently hot in the market. For example, this one right here. We cracked this one angle for a brand and it was a hair loss product. And they were talking about, so we basically noticed, one of our writers noticed that there's a current trend in the market and a hype about rosemary oil. And that is something that you can really hijack, and you need to. So this is the first step of like identifying this stuff, right? How can you match the market? You can do it perfectly with this hook, for example. This hook was rosemary oil or capilla longa. Which one is better for hair loss? This was a question that people had. They were wondering, like, is rosemary oil really effective? Should I put it on my hair? Or is it just like this another kind of snake oil stuff that doesn't work at all? And by using this hook, we were able to hijack this market wave that we talked about. We were immediately matching the market, and then we were able to lead with value because we could educate in like the first couple of seconds of this ad about the things about like rosemary oil and also capilla longa, which is really interesting for these people, right? Yeah, and this ad ran for a very long time and did really well. So this is amazing. And I like to be very example driven and also give you guys something along. So I also prepared a couple of hooks that you can actually use today and that are great for leading with value, that are great for top of funnel creatives. And these are these 5 hooks right here. On the right side, this is not one of our ads. Completely honest here. This is Dr. Gunnery from Golden Hippo, Craig Clemens, you know the person. But they've been using also a great hook, and this hook has been in the market for a long time, but it still crushes. It is, before you do X, watch this. So here they perfectly match the market again, right? They have like this, before you use apple cider vinegar, watch this. And it's the exactly same thing, because that's something that people do. It's like a common belief in the market, or it's a current trend that people do to slim down. So this is ideal to perfectly target who you're trying to talk to. And it's a really interesting way to do it. And it's a great way to do it because people appreciate it actually. Now the second hook is this or that, which is better. It is the one I just showed you. Next one is 3 signs you're doing XYZ wrong. Can also be a great one. This is good for XYZ, right? And then you say wrong. You can also take this one step further. A lot of VSL advertisers these days do this like 3 times. So they have like a great hook, and then they ask 3 things that people believe. For example, you need to cut carbs to slim down. And then another person says wrong. And they do this like 3 times, and they knock out like 3 common beliefs and make people curious about this new thing that they're trying to introduce, right? And the last one is, that works insanely well for a long time now, what nobody tells you about XYZ. I would try to use those. They are amazing. They can work in any niche. And I hope they do as well for you. Tactic 3, the root cause. The root cause is insanely important and often overlooked, especially in today's advertising. Because if we think about most ads that we see today and most ads created, well, they talk about problems, but these problems are actually symptoms. For example, my skin is dry, or I can't grow a beard, or anything like that. Those are symptoms. Can't grow muscle. It's all symptoms. It's not the problem. And the issue is, they've been just slaughtered these common claims, these common problem claims, that people don't really respond to them anymore. They feel really hopeless. Like they see hundreds of ads a day talking about their short lashes or talking about their dry skin. And why should they believe you, quite frankly, right? It's like they see it dozens of times, sometimes a day. It's terrible. So what you need to do is to introduce a root cause. And I can understand that not all the brands can do a root cause, but then I have also a second thing for you brands that you can use instead of a root cause, right? So here, for example, we made a switch. We talked about a common issue, a common pain that people have, and a lot of people were actually attributing it or just talking about the main pain. So what we did is we actually found out, and we learned this by, of course, having the brand develop the product, that this specific pain is often coming from a very specific root cause where the hamstrings are too short or they're tightened from like sitting too much, right? And the beautiful thing that happens actually with root causes, and if you apply them correctly, is that when you solve the root cause, you automatically solve the symptom. And the symptom is what people are experiencing. And this is then really powerful stuff, because you're not trying to tell them, hey, my skin is dry, and then you tell them, hey, just put on this serum and you will be fine. You're actually explaining them why this works and what the root cause is. So for example, for dry skin, could be like, it's not nutrient rich enough, or you need to drink more, about like any product. It doesn't really matter, but there's like an underlying cause of why things are as they are. They are never just like the symptom, right? And here it worked insanely well. So we were talking about these hamstrings, we made it the main angle. This brand scaled really well from basically zero to a couple $100,000 a month in very profitable revenue, and is approaching $1 million in sale a month this year. And it's just working. It's amazing. And the main thing that happens with this, and I will get to that later, is that they can understand that they have something new to discover. And this is really powerful stuff. Not a lot of people talk about this root cause and actually go the step to do the research to do so. Now, what do you do if you can't do a root cause? And the answer is do a problem shift. You need to move away from the thing they're believing and talk about something else. For example, for this product right here, it's for men who want to grow more muscle, who want to be more confident, status driven, everything like that. So this main angle was specifically for people getting like more checked out and more confident. So it was a very status driven script. And what we were talking about is that we were telling people, hey, just think about it for a moment. When you get checked out by people, like when you check out a guy, what do you notice first? Like we were just talking to them, do you really look at their biceps? Or is their biceps actually hidden often by like a shirt or anything, and you look at their forearms? So then we had this problem shift. People were always thinking, well, they look at their biceps first because it's this common thing, but then we introduced this new thought to them, and I injected this new thought that, hey, and this reasoning behind it, right? Because of the shirt. Well, a lot of people are actually also looking at your forearms, and if they're checked, it also makes your biceps look bigger. And then we introduced this entire thing. So we again explained this like problem shift. Then we segued into the sale, and we said that this tool is not only training your forearms but also your biceps, but especially the forearms, helps you get more grip, has all these amazing benefits, and it was sold. Like it did really, really well. So again, you have these two things about the root cause. Just like summarized it in the root cause. You have the actual root cause, which is the underlying problem of a problem. And then you have also the problem shift, which you can use if you can't really do a root cause explanation. Now let's talk mechanisms. Mechanisms is tactic 4. I love mechanisms. Some people do not love mechanistic copy and everything like that. But I believe really nicely tied together with a root cause, it can work incredibly well. And let me give you an example. So you need to build a bridge from the root cause now to your unique mechanism. And the main idea is to introduce a new and unique way of solving an old problem. And there you actually get a great outcome when you do it properly. So I wanted to bring this real world example of another brand. And I was told it was V-Shred, so I'll just call it like that. But there was this kind of thing about the testosterone market. So when you sold like to people who wanted to grow more muscle, you often sold them testosterone boosters. And of course, in the beginning it worked well, but then it got super saturated. It got so saturated that just like nothing worked anymore in the market. And if we think about the main mechanism behind it, or like the main thing, how this was sold to the consumer, it was done like this. So, hey, prospect, your muscles are not growing. Well, that's because you have low testosterone. You can take testosterone boosters and you will grow more muscle and faster. Amazing, right? The thing is just nobody believed it anymore. It was such a common mechanism that people just didn't give really anything about it anymore. And then this amazing company V-Shred came around the corner and they flipped the script a bit. So let's take a look at this. Again, same before state. You have muscles that are not growing. Well, that's because you have low testosterone. Same thing, you see. But then it actually flips the script. Hey, prospect, did you know that you might have low testosterone because of too much cortisol? Well, you can take our cortisol blockers and your body will produce naturally more testosterone. And with having more testosterone, you will grow more muscle and you will grow faster. Amazing, right? So they basically had the same explanation. They basically had the same outcome and the same before state, the same people. But they introduced a new mechanism in the market, in a very highly sophisticated market, and it helped them crush, right? And of course, that's why I said not every root cause can be like different. That's why I gave you the problem shift. But you need to explain your unique mechanism. You need to explain to people how your stuff works. And ideally, it works different than just any other dropship product that you get. And for most brands, it does. So you need to let them know, because it's not really common knowledge for everybody how your product works and how they benefit from it and how it's different from other stuff and why it's better. So always think about this unique mechanism. And I told you, like, there's an outcome. What is this outcome? The outcome is hope. The outcome is the light at the end of the tunnel feeling that they get. Like here with this ad where we sold this beer can, still do. And we basically talked about how we have this specific audience and how these products just work insanely well for them, and how everything else couldn't have really worked just because of their skin texture and everything like that. And they get it. It makes sense to them. And they finally understand, hey, I did everything right, but I was missing this one thing. And of course, missing this one thing and doing everything right, there's like age-old marketing, and you want to go there. So you want to give people this idea of, well, I know some things didn't work, or like I had this pain for several years, but only because I didn't have this information or this product. And this is what perfectly creates this feeling of the light at the end of the tunnel. You see something, and you've probably had it yourself when you bought something, is that when you come across this and then you envision how your life will be, you can finally get out of this valley of pain and mediocrity, or what is really like causing you issues right now. And this product is the way. But it only works well because of the unique mechanism and how it ties to the root cause, right? And this is really what great advertisers do, is that they find this out, and then they craft this copy with the mechanism around it, and it creates this light at the end of the tunnel feeling. It creates hope for these people, and they're inspired to take action. Cool. Let's move on. Last part, tactic 5. Trust. Trust is necessary. You can also call it credibility, or like comforting the buyer. Because you're talking to strangers, and quite frankly, why should they believe you? Like, at all. There are like scammers everywhere around the corner. Why should they believe you? And that's why, for us, every ad must have a trust element. And this doesn't matter if it's like fashion or if it's pain relief. For us, there are certain trust elements that you can just implement very nicely, very seamlessly, and they do amazingly well. Because otherwise, you will get people who are like very close to giving you their credit card, but then they feel like, hey, this can't be real. Like, this is either too good to be true, or I don't really believe it, or I don't really know anyone, or anything like that, right? So what I did is I put together a couple of trust elements, 5 trust elements for you that you can use to introduce this trust, this credibility, and comfort the buyer and land this sale smoothly. So you did so great in the beginning, you did everything right until this point. Now it's coming to an end, this sort of ad, and you need to introduce some sort of like trust elements. So what are some trust elements? We have press quotes, public relations, anything like that. Second thing is definitely reviews and testimonials. Talking about that, one extremely powerful structure is always talking about, hey, it worked for me, then it worked for others, and then it worked for the masses. So like this kind of stuff works really well. And then if you are able to allow the prospect to see that it also works for them, then the stuff is done. They just purchase and they're gonna love you. Right, now back to this, the third step, industry giants. Industry giants can also be great. Let's think about, for example, you're selling some like BizOp or anything like that, and you ask someone, hey, do you believe you can get 3 purchases or 10 purchases out of a network of 2 billion users, right? So this industry giant would be Meta. And of course you can. So you tie it to this like big thing, this industry giant. When you have a partnership, you can also connect it to that. Or here, like in this ad for this MMA client, We had a very nice like throwback to the good old days when the founder was training with the folks from Krav Maga Worldwide. Our editors put in an old image of this and it worked really well. So this is also a cool way to do it. Now then, the next thing is that you can do authority figures. If you have like any doctors, nutritionists, can also be an author, can be basically anyone who has some sort of authority in your space, and you can use him to take a bit of that authority for your brand. So definitely try this. That's also how a lot of big brands are scaling. Also the Dr. Gundry, for example, the Dr. Gundry example I mentioned to you in the beginning, this is a perfect example of authority figure ads. Because what Greg Clemens did and Golden Hippo did is they partner with doctors and then create the marketing around them. And this is how this stuff works. They have instant credibility. And the last thing is the company background. Anything about the product, anything about the brand, anything that adds a bit of like trust to the brand and makes it more credible. This is amazing too. So when your brand sold like 1 million bottles, well, why not slap it on your image ads? It can add a lot of trust. And again, these principles, they're not just tied to videos. You can also use them individually, like some of them in your static ads, and you should do that. And it can really help you also unlock static ads as a great way to acquire new customers. Cool. Now, we've gone through these 5 points, so let me just repeat them or like go through them again. We have matching the market, really knowing where the market is at, connecting with it really nicely, creating constructive interference, highly relevant, so people purchase. Second thing is leading with value. I believe a value component, educational, informational, entertaining, that makes a lot of stuff, inspirational as well. First couple of seconds of your ad can be also a few seconds that you talk about this, really educate, provide great information and help people. It should be your goal to provide valuable information to people whether they purchase or not. The root cause, super important, understand and let them understand where their problem is actually coming from. The problem shift is a great way if you can't do the root cause. And then the mechanism is something really powerful where I explain them why your stuff works, how it works in very easy, simple kindergarten words so they can get it, right? And it just makes logical sense. It's like, done. I get this, I want this. To create this light at the end of the tunnel feeling. And then last step, we just talked about like comforting the buyer, the trust elements, credibility. This is super important to land this sale nicely. And the reason why I didn't put in like call to action or hook or anything like that is that I want you to understand these 5 tactics that people use that you can build into your ads or create new ads from. And a call to action, a hook, that should be just given that you understand these things. So this is really for brands who take it seriously, who want to take it to the next level. And I can promise you, if you do this stuff, it will work well. And there might be some things that you might do, maybe do 2 or 3 out of them, but try to implement them and just see the difference. It will really transform stuff, hopefully for you as well. Now we talked about this and I wanted to bring like an extra bonus to this presentation and really make this about you and you finding your next winning ad, because one winning ad can truly change your business. It can run for months, sometimes years, produce hundreds, if not thousands, and if not millions of dollars in revenue. And this is what we're trying to do. And I will show you now a process that you can apply to find new winning ads in as little as 14 days, basically. So your next winner, the last section of this presentation. Here are 4 foolproof steps to your next winning ad. I messed it up a bit, but 4 foolproof steps to your next winning ad. And it already starts with the research. So researching the market is incredibly important. What you get out of it is understanding what is hot in the market right now, how can you educate people on it, and also not just researching the market, but also researching your product, the prospects, the brand, yourself. Again, like dive into it. Even if it's your brand and you've been with it for like 5-10 years, doesn't matter. Take a look at the market, take a look at all the things you have to offer, and then try to find something that really resonates with it. Cool. Next thing, the RST, the rapid static test. Here we did it for our brand, and this is a bit mixed, but we did like 32 variations. And this RST is a great way to find marketing messages that resonate. So what you do is you research the market and then you write, I would recommend between like 10 to 15 headlines about different angles, about different marketing messages that you can think of. Anything, any like marketing angle you could sell your product in a remote way even would be really great to understand what resonates with the market. Okay, so you have this 10 to 15 headlines. And the main reason you're doing this RST is that it saves you a bunch of time. You only need to have one template, and then you can slap on your headline, put in like a lifestyle shot or anything, and just test it out on Meta, right? And you test this for like 4, 5, 6, 7 days, of course on purchase event only, purchase optimization only, so you get really valuable information out of it. Now, when you get these results back, what you're going to do is you transform these learnings into video ads, into top of funnel video ads, and you will do that by using our 5 tactics that we talked about today, so you make sure they become insanely great video ads. And when you've done this, you will really learn from this RST test that maybe 1 or 2 out of these 10 or 15 headlines will resonate really well. You will know you have a winner when you have like breaking even sales. So this test is not about like making it scalable or making it great right from the get-go and using like creating like new winning ads. It's really to find out what messaging works. So you not only take a look at the number of purchases, but you also take a look at like CTR, CPCs, and take a look at the soft metrics to understand if it's hot in the market, if people click on it. And then you take the best one out of these 10, 15, which can be just 1 or 2, it's perfectly fine. And then you transform this into video ads, the multiple variations using these 5 tactics. And the next step that happens is something you deserve. You will scale, you will print money, you will count money, you will have a great life, because this is a systematic approach to cracking new angles. It's been proven, it works insanely well, it has led to millions of dollars in sales. And I would highly recommend you try this. It's very easy. You can do this in little as 14 days to get new stuff running, right? Sometimes even 7 days if you're really fast, but with the testing period, I would say like, try to target like 10 to 14 days, and you might be able to crack a new angle that produces results for months, if not years. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my short presentation, current state of advertising, on what we see is working. And I'm quite active on LinkedIn and Twitter, so if you have like any questions or you just want to shoot shit, send me a message there. I'm always happy to talk about it, take a look at your creatives, take a look at anything, and yeah, that's basically it. Thanks so much for watching. I hope it was valuable. And the last thing to say is happy scaling, apply this stuff, and I hope it works, and let me know how it goes. Thanks so much.